Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the mayor.
Please be seated, everybody. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this extraordinary meeting of Bexhill-on-Sea Full Council. We are here today to talk about Jimmy Carroll. Members of the public and press are welcome to attend. Please note that the proceedings of this meeting may be recorded in line with regulations set out in the Openness of Local Government Bodies Regulations 2014. Members of the public addressing the council but not wishing to be recorded should put this request to the town clerk at the earliest opportunity. Now, as this is a special meeting, I'd like to ask, does anyone in the public gallery have anything they would like to say tonight about Jimmy Carroll? Okay, fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to walk over to the chair, the empty chair? And when you speak, can you press the left-hand button and a red light will come on?
Can I hear him? Could I have the loop hearing?
He needs to loop. He needs to loop. Have we got...
That was the master key.
You've forgotten it now. So.
I have. Got father and son.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Lovely. Well, I did ask
Did they ever work?
you. Just pull them apart.
Did they come on there?
Yeah, that one's lit up. This one's lit up. Yeah, that should be alright.
Right. Is that okay for Mr. Carroll? Okay.
Lovely, thank you.
Right, okay. And you are
Jane
Carroll, sorry. Yes, would you like to press the button and say what you want to say?
I've been said I can speak. I can speak openly about anything.
What about Jimmy?
Of course. Of course. So good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, obviously it's a privilege to be here tonight, period, but it's very nice to be asked if, or offered the opportunity to stand up and speak. Obviously Tony and I and all our family are very proud of my dad and everything that he has achieved. I'd just like to say I think it's a nice bit of class from Bexhill Town Council showing their appreciation of one of their local people that really do go above and beyond over a prolonged period of time. He is undoubtedly been committed to his local community and local area ever since he moved here, which was longer than I've been born. and very much part of the tapestry of the town and local area. And I know he takes it very seriously. I'd just like to say, because I imagine he might forget, behind every great man there is a great woman, or vice versa. And my mum has been outstanding in supporting my dad in all his endeavours. And yeah, he's always a strong one behind every good man, and she's fantastic, and he's very lucky to have her. So every late meeting you've had that's gone on till he tells you it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I don't know where he's going. But obviously there's always a warm cuddle when he gets in, and a hot dinner, and he's always well looked after. So he is a very, and we are a very lucky family. He's a very lucky man. So just thank you for what you've done for the dad, and thank you for what you've done for our community.
Thank you very much. Now we go on to item 2 on the agenda. Apologies for absence. Have we any apologies?
Yes. Councillor Jacqueline has got caught up at work, so
Okay, and item number 3, to receive declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. Have we any declarations of interest in relation to this meeting? Councillor Carroll?
Yes, I'm Jimmy Carroll's son.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you. Thank you for that. So item 4, to confer... Sorry? Councillor Tempe?
Yeah, Rother District Councillor.
Okay, all right, thank you. Right, and Councillor Hampton?
I'm a member of the committee for Bexhill Carnival.
Okay, yeah. And Councillor Drayson?
Rother District Council.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. Now, item 4, to confer the title of Honorary Freeman to person of distinction Jimmy Carroll, who has rendered eminent services to Bexhill-on-Sea. I have some words that I've prepared to celebrate this occasion. So I'm going to start by saying a little bit of background. Jimmy Carroll first moved to Sidley in 1973 when he opened his first business trading as Granny Smith fruit and veg shops. He has been married to his wife Sandra for 55 years, and they have 2 sons, Jay and Tony, 4 grandchildren, Richard, George, Sid and Lola, and now also 3 great-grandchildren. Since he moved to Sidley, Jimmy has always taken a great interest in supporting the local community in many ways, including taking an active interest in Sidley Football Club, Sidley Cricket Club and Bexhill and Hastings Rugby Club. Jimmy joined Rother District Council in 2007 as councillor for Sidley Ward, which enabled him to continue with his work supporting his community in a more practical way. Jimmy then became Mayor of Bexhill in 2015 and later on in 2017 became Chair of Rother District Council. Jimmy has always put Sidley first and in his plans and easily works alongside young and old people. Jimmy has been part of the Sidley community for many years. He has always been there for the residents and traders in Sidley. He helps with local projects for schools and the elders of Sidley, and he deserves this recognition as he has devoted years to the residents of Sidley and the wider community. He has achieved so many things for Sidley, and he was always a councillor to rely on. Here is a quote from a local resident who wrote to say, "Jimmy deserves recognition for his dedication and loyalty to Sidley, for his services as a councillor for 14 years or so. Not only has he served his community with his heart and passion, he has also been trading in the village for longer, encouraging other traders to open up and keep the high street bustling. Not to mention the charity work that he's carried out over all this time. Even in his retirement, this man still goes above and beyond. Recognition goes a long way, and this is the best way for us residents to all say thank you. His contributions have not gone unnoticed to the people of Sidley, and this is a wonderful accolade for Jim to receive. I couldn't think of a more deserving person." We have received a letter from Jamie Ramsden of Sidley Cricket Club, who unfortunately is unable to be here tonight. So I will read the letter on his behalf. "Good evening. all at Sidley Cricket Club are delighted to hear of Jimmy's Freedom of Bexhill Award. Jimmy has always had a passion for all things Sidley and works with many groups, clubs, schools and local businesses to push Sidley into the public eye. He has always believed that Sidley people are kind, helpful and caring, which makes for a great community and village feel. A cricket club is very much community focused, and Jimmy has worked very hard to help us find a new home in Sidley after the closure of Gulliver's in 2013. His work for the club has very much been talking to Rother, funders and councillors to put the cricket club and its hopes to turn playing in Sidley back in people's minds and hearts. I'm delighted to say that this has been achieved with the opening last year of St Mary's Recreation Ground, ready for cricket. I would always say Sidley would not be Sidley without seeing Jimmy somewhere in the high street. Congratulations, Jim, and best wishes from all at Sidley Cricket Club. It therefore gives me great pleasure to confer the well-deserved title of Honorary Freeman of Bexhill to you, Jimmy Carroll. Many congratulations and thank you for your outstanding contribution which you've made to our community. Now, at this stage, I would like a show of hands from all councillors to confirm that they're all agreeable to the presentation of this award to Jimmy Carroll. Can I have a show of hands, please? Right, that's unanimous. Well, congratulations, Jimmy.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
Shall I go there?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all that's said there. And it takes a long time to do all those things, but it's showing through, and that's what it's all about. The people are helping themselves now. You just got to have a little shove now and again, and in the right areas. My family, all the people. Oh, what you were calling me? It's just a great pleasure, and when you look back, it's some wonderful things, and we're not stopping either. We're keeping going. Thank you very much, all. Thank you.
Cheers for Jimmy Carroll. Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Well for luck. Hip hip. Hooray!
Right, I'd like to just finish up by saying that we will make a formal presentation of your certificate at our town meeting, which will take place on Saturday the 16th of March 2024. And with everyone's permission, I would now like to declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Planning and Development Advisory Committee of Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council. I notice we've got some members of the public in the audience today. Is there anybody who wishes to speak at the planning meeting? Is this a full meeting? No? Okay. We will move swiftly on to item 2 on the agenda, apologies for absence. Have we got any apologies for absence?
No, that's all right.
Okay. And item 3, to receive declarations of interest. Anybody wish to make any declarations of interest? No? Okay. Therefore, we go to Chairman's announcements. I have no announcements. And therefore, we go to the item 5, minutes, to approve the minutes held on 21st of February 2024. Do I have your authority to sign those off as a correct account of that meeting? Okay, thank you very much. I will sign them off. Okay. Okay, we move to item 6 on the agenda, and this is the planning applications. I will call them out in the order they're in, alphabetical order. If you need to say anything about them, please raise your hands. Otherwise I will move on to the next one. So, 6A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, yes, Councillor Cross.
Just an observation, there's no mention in the AS or in the papers of methods of drainage for it's a new industrial unit being put up into the surface now, but whether it's worth raising that with rather their people should put that up.
Okay. What does everybody feel about that? Do we need to raise that as a concern? No? All those in favour of raising that concern with Rother, please raise your hands. It's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. That will be passed on. J, K, L, M. That completes the planning applications. Item 7 on the agenda, planning decisions by Rother District Council. I'm not going to read these through in alphabetical order. Is there anybody who wishes to raise any concerns regarding the applications and decisions that have been made? No? Okay, we will then move to item 8, motions from councillors. There were no motions from councillors. Item 9, committee actions. To receive updates on the local plan. I will pass over to the clerk to see if there are any updates on the local plan.
Not as yet, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Correspondence, any correspondence that was relevant to this evening's meeting was circulated in advance. Item 11, questions from councillors. Note on there that one of the questions from the last meeting was that I asked that if questions from the Town Council could be directed to a senior officer of Rother District Council because we were getting frustrated with a lack of response, and we were actually informed that they have no obligation to reply to us at all, and therefore our questions will go straight to the Rother District Council officer, and we'll see whether we get any replies that way. Item 11B, to receive questions for future agenda items. Has anybody got any questions they wish to put forward in a future agenda item? I have one. I was approached by a gentleman in my ward the other day regarding land that is being developed to the rear of 117 and 119 London Road, and I would like, as a town council, to ask the planning officers whether planning permission has been granted for such development of land. And with your indulgence, if we can have your agreement that that question is forwarded. Everybody agree with that? Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions for future items? No? Therefore, just to inform you, the date of the next meeting is March the 20th, and this meeting is closed. Thank you very much.
Right. Okay. Right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the meeting of Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council, full council meeting this evening. And I'd like to start just to remind people that the meeting tonight is going to be recorded, and if anyone doesn't want themselves to be seen, they should let the clerk know in advance. I'd also like to remind people that as this is being recorded, that if anyone says anything during this meeting which might be taken as slanderous, then they could be personally liable to litigation. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but This is just a courtesy message. And we're going to start with item number 1, public participation. I can see that the people here have are quite accustomed to our meetings. So if there's anyone here that wants to speak, can you make yourself known, please? Right, okay. So I'll start from left to right and ask Mrs. Blagrove if you could go along to the chair, and when you speak, could you press the left-hand button and a red light will come on, and then you'll be heard. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name's Sharon Blagrove, and I just would like to say I think it was really fantastic of the Town Council to present Jimmy Carroll with his award tonight as Freeman. It was well deserved, and you know it should have been done before this and probably by Robert, but you've done it and well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, okay, and the next gentleman, Mr. Matthews, would you like to come along, please? And when you want to speak, can you press the button and a red light will come on?
Which button? The left one.
The left one.
Good evening. My name is Michael Matthews. Concerning the Bexhill Christmas lights 2024. After the fiasco of last Christmas with the 2 trees and the not showing of the lights in St Leonard's Road and only half of Western Road, it is now the time to start the planning for the Bexhill Christmas lights and the Christmas tree for this year. There is absolutely no disputing that the Bexhill Christmas lights of 2015, 2016, 2017 and 2018 were the best there ever has been in the town, and the tree being voted the best on the south coast in them 4 years by Southern Sound and Heart Radio listeners. So whoever was involved with them at the time to feel proud of what they'd done, the years afterwards going gradually downhill, each year to last year's embarrassment that was on the local newses and main news. So because of that, to show what could be done again, I have here a colour brochure of Christmas lights that have been superimposed onto the photos of the town streets and lampposts. These include everything bar the tree, and the prices for this is a 3-year contract, 29,000 just below, on a 5-year contract of just below 27,000, excluding VAT. If taken on by the Bexhill Town Council, they can reclaim the VAT. To welcome 2 welcome signs across Bexhill, Station Road and Wickham Avenue, welcome to Bexhill. Zigzag cross street snowflake lights with smaller dazzle lights for Western Road and St Leonard's Road. Lamppost light fittings for Sackville Road, Devonshire Road, Sea Road, Devonshire Square. Plus lamppost chain lights for Devonshire Square. 3,000 Christmas tree lights.
Yeah, excuse me, can I just interrupt? I don't mean to be rude, but we have already had a community committee meeting to discuss this, and we've got plans in place. But we have a community committee meeting taking place next week, so if you could email the information to our town clerk, provided it's in time, we will be discussing that then.
But surely it must be allowed to be made public here, as it's a full council meeting, which I've been told, and you'll find that other councillors are nodding now.
Okay, all right, sorry, carry on.
Thank you. Yeah, for chain lights for Devonshire Square, 3,000 Christmas tree lights so for the tree. So all Bexhill Town Council have to supply is a tree, which I believe Wave Arts has £2,500 collected in a GoFundMe already. I do stand corrected on that. Concerning the event, it must be, as it was in 2015, 16, 17 and 18, if you have a turn on, a Christmas light, you must have late night shopping and free parking on that day, not 2 weeks later or a week later. for the switch on of end. I believe this, that it has been proved and it can be done again. I want to stipulate that won't be involved, but I have everything here to prove it can be. I won't put no money towards it, but I'm willing to advise anyone as managing director of Shining Lights. And I believe that if you build it, they will come. It's time to put everything into the motion, and let's do it now as a town. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Can you switch the button off, please?
Switch.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you very much. Now we go on to item 2 on our agenda. Apologies for absence. Have we any apologies? No? Full house. Very good. Item 3, to receive declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. So can I have a show of hands? Councillor Winter?
Member of the District Council.
Right. Councillor Drayson?
Same of the District Council.
Councillor Hampton?
Member of Bexhill Carnival Committee.
Councillor Tempe?
Thank you. Rother District Councillor and Director of Old Town Occasions Limited.
Thank you. And Councillor Byrne?
Thank you. Member of Rother District Council.
Right.
And belated apologies for my lateness.
That's fine. Okay then, thank you. And so item 4, Chair's announcements. There are no announcements. So I'll go straight on to item 5, to approve the minutes of the following meeting of the Council, which took place on Wednesday the 7th of February 2024. So can I have somebody to second these minutes, please?
It says 21st of February.
Well, we didn't have a meeting on the 21st of February, did we?
Yes, thank
Oh, we
you.
did. Oh, sorry, that was... Right, okay, sorry, that's my mistake, sorry. Yes, we could get approval on these minutes of the 21st of February. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Hussain. And can I have a show of hands to just confirm that it's all right for me to sign it? Anyone against these being signed?
I'm abstaining to one here.
And yes, I understand that. Okay, right, okay, so with your permission, I'll just sign these minutes of the 21st of February. Right, okay. So that's the only one that needs to be signed, am I right? Okay. So if we go on to the next item on the agenda, committees. To note minutes from committee meetings held last meeting. They have all been circulated to all councillors here, and this is just to note that this has been circulated, and if there are any councillors wanting to make any comments relating to these meetings, they should address the chair of the respective meetings at their next meeting, the next committee. So there's nothing to be said there, just to acknowledge that this has been distributed. Item B, to note current vacancies on committees as per terms of reference and appoint members to the following vacancies. So there are still vacancies for the Planning and Development Advisory Committee. There's one vacancy there. Is anyone interested in standing for that? If not, it'll be brought up at the next meeting, if appropriate. Oh, Councillor Drayson.
Chair, bearing in mind a later item on the agenda, could this be deferred to the next meeting anyway?
Yeah, I'll defer both of these to the next meeting then, as appropriate. So going on to item 7, recommendations from committees. Climate, Nature and Environment Committee. Item 1, that the Council supports David Dennis to write to the Secretary of State on behalf of the Council to ask for support to the extension of SSS1 from Coombe Valley over Galley Hill. Can I pass this over to you, Councillor Plym, as your chair of the CNE committee?
Yeah, I'm terribly sorry, I was unaware this is going to be on the agenda. I've printed the agenda out, and this doesn't appear on it.
It's not on the agenda. Recommendations from committee there on.
Oh, right. Okay. All right, we'll just forget that then. That was on my agenda, but sorry about that. So item 8, Mayor's Office, to receive update on the work of the Town Mayor. This has all been distributed to everyone. Has anyone got any comments arising from that? No? Okay. So we'll go on to item 9, reports from councillors. External councillors may report for 3 minutes. Written reports must be received 3 days before the meeting. We have received a report from East Sussex County Councillor, and that's been emailed to everyone, so we're all up to speed with that. Are there any ward district councillors that need to say anything? Councillor Tempe? No, you just press your button.
No, but am I supposed to go there?
No, you can press your button here.
Oh, okay.
The red light will come on.
Oh, that's somewhat different than last time. Okay, thank you, Chair. Right, I'm speaking to you as Rother District Councillor for Sackville Ward, and also as portfolio holder for neighbourhood services and many other things. I just wanted to let you know about I don't know if any of you tuned in to the Cabinet meeting on Monday, but we agreed as Cabinet to allow the purchase of Sidley Depot because the Food Waste Act, food waste is part of the Environmental Act that's coming in 2026. It is not optional, it is mandatory. Every council has to provide food waste for their residents, but currently we don't have a depot. So this site has been identified. It's still got to go through overview and scrutiny and come back to full council, but I'm just alerting you because in the procurement process we always highlight that we really want localised employment. So I think for Sidley there might be some employment opportunities. The other thing that was agreed was to allow procurement, the current new contract for grounds maintenance, which will affect Bexhill Town tremendously because the current contract ends in November. So we have to have some plan in place, and the new contract will be much reduced as far as work goes, and we will see a big difference. So I'm just alerting the Town Council to that, and especially one of the committees that might be looking at the gardens, etc. in Bexhill. And also along Southcliffe for other town councillors whose ward that is, the outfall pipe that's had an awful lot of work done on it is progressing well. They've had a couple of hitches, but it is on schedule, so I'm hope that will be done before the summer season. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And going on to item C, to receive ward reports from town councillors. Has anyone here got any ward report? Councillor Crotty.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, basically I just went and saw a lady who was complaining about Sackville Road, how that now stagecoach are refusing to go down there due to the damage of their buses with the coal, and with Councillor Holledge saying that until the scaffolding's come down off the Dreams, it won't be until that's come down. Now, that looks like it's going to be another 3 to 4 months before that scaffolding's down, and that hole is getting deeper and deeper, so I feel sorry for the businesses that are not getting the football net down there now, because the majority of, there's about 10 empty shops now, they're moving out of that road into other roads. So I'm just basically making that clear that the sinkhole is getting worse.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Crotty. So, Councillor Drayton.
Yeah, on that, I mean, that's not going to last another 2 or 3 months. I've suggested that the little yellow community bus also stops using Sackville because of it. But perhaps we, as a council, I know they listen and, or they don't listen, but perhaps we as a council should be asking East Sussex to pull their finger out, specifically on Sackville Road, followed a close second by Buckhurst Road again. But perhaps we should be contacting East Sussex as a council.
Yeah. Is it appropriate to address this meeting? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, can we accept? Can we have a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Crotty, and And what would the proposal be to us to write to East Sussex County Council to express our concerns about the condition of Sackville Road sinkhole and want to know what action is going to be taken?
Yes, very much so. But I just want to add, Councillor Jacqueline wasn't seconded, he wanted to speak, and then
All
Councillor...
right, sorry.
Sorry.
Councillor Jacqueline.
I would add Harebrand Walk, which was closed today because of the amount of damage. I've also got a report on something else, but shall I wait for this to be concluded?
Yes, this will be part of your ward report, will it?
I attended a meeting to which we were all invited. So it was a UN Association meeting, but that's nothing to do with potholes.
All right. Okay. So, Councillor Wilson.
Whilst I agree that Sackville Road and the other road mentioned is bad, I think it's quite difficult to specify particular sinkholes. There's one at the entrance to St Leonard's Road that is also very, very bad. But you can go around lots of specific roads, and virtually every road has an issue with a serious pothole, but there are 3 in the centre. But we always only focus on the centre of Bexhill because that's where more people go. So I think if we're going to say specific potholes, sinkholes, whatever we're going to call them, yes, that's great for the centre, but then all the outlying areas then don't get the work that they need. And I have noticed of late that a lot of the county councillors are getting some of the roads resurfaced. There's been one in Sydney done this week. There's been some in Little Common done. So there must be a programme. Is it not more suitable to ask, can East Sussex County Council share the programme of repairs to roads in Bexhill and highlight those 3 particular sinkholes in the centre of Bexhill? Thank you.
Yeah, I must say that I think that the highways report is part of the East Sussex County Council report, which was circulated. So maybe we can read that through and find out if there's anything we could add to make our concerns known. So, Councillor Plym.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think all of us in each of our wards can point to roads that are in dire condition. And there is a programme of repairs taking place, and I take Councillor Wilson's point that we need to be informed more fully of the programme of works. However, I think as a town council, we should be inquiring as to what we could do to assist that programme of works, because there may be opportunities that we have that county and district do not have that we could assist. I know there are 1 or 2 councils up and down the country who take out minor repairs to roads themselves because they are fed up with the lack of progress that the county highway department is making. Some of them actually pay for someone to do it in-house themselves. Some of them actually raise funds for county to use to do specific roads within the particular town concerned. So I think if we can sort of put some sort of direction to the town clerk to try and seek out how we can assist for the benefit of the town, how we can assist the programme of works.
Yeah, thank you. I understand that there is a computer system in place where if people report a fault in the road, you can go onto a website and see or make sure that it has been recorded. There'll be a job number and there's a progress report on that. And subsequently there is a mention in this East Sussex report that we were handed today, or given out today, to say a record number of potholes have been filled, over 20,000 since the new contractor took over in May. Balfour Beatty filled 2,300 potholes in January alone. So it looks as if they're addressing the situation, but maybe if we were to write and voice our concerns about what's going on in our town, that would be something very positive. Councillor Drayson.
Chair, I agree with what you said, and I'm taking Councillor Wilson's, but that's why I specified the sinkholes. Potholes are everywhere. The sinkhole, I'm frightened that, well, I don't go down there in my Mini because it will disappear down it one day if I'm that unlucky one. And that's why I specifically mentioned the sinkholes, which are different to potholes, but the East Sussex seem to just lump them all into road repairs, but sinkholes are a different business. They will give way.
Right. Councillor Carroll.
Thank you, Chair.
I agree with Councillor Drayton. There is a massive difference in the sinkhole. The one they're talking about in Sackville Road is it is dangerous for bikes. You know, we could be looking at fatalities at worst, and I think we should be backing it. The fact that they're showing off that they've done a record number of repairs is shocking, because that tells you how bad the roads are. Simple as that. So I think we should be highlighting. Right, it's going to bring trade. You've got the summer coming, tourism, etc. It's on a busy roundabout straight away, which connects the whole of Bexhill. And if we're going to stop public transport, it stops people getting down there. Chair.
So, thank you. Are you saying that we should concentrate on these major problems?
I think we should concentrate on what Councillor Drayton said. There is a difference between sinkholes and potholes.
Yeah.
And sinkholes are progressively, let's take the one for Cooten Drive. That's been sitting there for 2 months now, empty, and it's not a sinkhole no more, it's a hole.
Right, okay. And I take Councillor Crotty's advice and report, and thank you for raising that, because I think it's something very relevant that needs to be addressed. Councillor Goss.
Yeah, I was raising a similar point about the one in the Cooten Drive, because all they did was put barriers around it, which blow down every day. It's very dangerous at night. If the barriers are disappeared, blown off, you could lose a million. The other point is there is a fairly simple app you can get. Fix My Street, which I've reported several on in the past few weeks, and they do seem to have acted on them and done something about them for potholes, even sinkholes. There was one in Collington Lane West. So that is sort of worth reporting on. It's quite easy to do it. The other thing is that they have repaired a record number of potholes, but the standard of repair is extremely poor. They basically chuck a couple of shovels of tarmac in, stand on it, and within a week they're breaking up again. So East Sussex Council really need to get on top of it and watch what their contractor is doing.
Okay, so maybe the resolution would be to write to East Sussex and make known our concerns about these particular enormous sinkholes, and ask what action is going to be taken, and ask them to give it priority, because we're beginning to fear for people's safety and the impact it's having on local businesses in Bexhill. So, can I have a seconder for that?
I was just to say, with one in Buckhurst Road, it's very basically important, because if I'm correct, last time it's right near to a fire hydrant, so where the water's coming from the ground, and also right next to the school, public school. So I think Sackville Road needs to be done because it's getting bigger and bigger, and obviously the one at Buckhurst Road needs to be done as well. It's just letting the East Sussex County Council Highways know about that. So I think I remember correctly, out of the 18,000 holes that were filled, there was only 2 around Bexhill that was on the list.
Right.
So, but thank you.
Okay. So, did you second that motion that we address our concerns to East Sussex County Council? Can I have a show of hands to see what people think about that, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That looks unanimous. So, can you do that for us, please, Clark? Okay, thank you very much. Right, so moving on to item 10, governance and administration. This is a standard item here now to review council project list. Has anyone got any comments to make on the project list this time? No? Okay. Well, I'll go on to item B, to receive recommendation from Terms of Reference Working Group. These have been sent to all of you councillors with a précis saying how we think it should work. And I feel personally that there's been enough information sent round to everybody for you to make a decision. So can I have a seconder that we have a show of hands to get this passed and to go through? Are you seconding that?
Can we not debate this first before we go straight to...
Yes, if you want to.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
A lot of work's gone into this, and I commend the committee for putting this forward. There are a few elements on it that I'd like to point out, one of which is the concern that is highlighted in your appraisal that you've put on it regarding planning, and whether the planning cycle that Rother have will work in sync with our full council meetings if we're going to have planning within the full council meetings. There will be occasions, as has been highlighted, where we will have to, and it says it should immediately be brought before other district councils so these concerns to be addressed. So there will be occasions built in that we're going to have to go to our other district councillors and say, can you look at this planning application?
Yeah.
That's already there now, and so it really does make a mockery of having planning within Bexhill Town Council, because we're sort of saying, well, we can't really do anything ourselves, we can't talk about it, we have to go to the Rother District Council.
Well, I would say that I think that by amending it to make all of the ward councillors alert to what's going on in their own wards, and if they have any major concerns, then they can contact the town council, provided it's going to be within the 21 days. If it's not, then address the concerns to the town clerk, and we can call an extraordinary meeting of the full council and get permission for that councillor to report their concerns to Rother. So I think it makes things a lot more effective and a lot less time consuming with respect. And from my point of view, it's going to make me more alert if I'm expecting these planning applications to come through, to make me more alert as a councillor as to what's going on in my ward, and in that respect be a lot more vigilant on behalf of my residents. So that was the ethos behind that.
Fully take that on board. However, the fear has been raised and the risk has been raised, and I think we need to be appreciated of that fact that we could have planning applications coming through that we will miss entirely and we will not have a say on. And some, with a lot of development going on within Bexhill, on the outskirts of Bexhill, there are occasions that will possibly happen where we will not have any views put forward to no applications put forward to us. Well, it's a view that it's a risk. I'm just raising it as a risk. It's been raised in your appraisal of the changes there, and I think we'll run with it. We'll see what happens within a year, and if it deems to be an issue, I think we need to readdress it.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it was a proposal. It's to make our council a lot more streamlined and make ourselves take on more responsibility for this major issue in all of our wards, and to make us more effective. So that was the ethos behind it. So I mean, I wouldn't like to underestimate the competence and capabilities of any of us councillors. If we are aware that's part of our role, then I think we will continue to act in that way.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I've got a couple of other points, if I may, regarding. Yes. I don't know if you're going to go through it,
well,
bit by bit, or the whole document. Because I noticed that a lot of the committees have been reduced down to 6 councillors. Now, on some of the wording on here, it might be wrong, but some of the wording, we've missed out things. We've got membership of the Finance Committee. It says Mayor and Deputy Mayor will be ex officio members without voting rights, but it doesn't say unless they are fully appointed members of that committee. And there's a couple of points within here as well. It's not consistent. So we haven't highlighted the fact that if you are ex officio and you're a member of that committee, I take it it's a typo, and I take it that it's something that should be put in there. But I just want to clarify that, because it will be amiss for one committee structure to be working along one rule guidelines and another committee to work through another set of guidelines. So can you just clarify that?
I think the intention was for it to be blanket for all committees.
That's all I need to know, and I think that's all the rest of the full council needs to know, is blanket for all committees, and can be easily addressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the number of members in the committee reduced to 6?
I think that was just a ballpark figure. We'll have to
so
see what happens in our AGM, see what the demand is, and gauge it from there. Nothing's set in stone. But the whole idea of this is, as I said, to make us a lot more efficient, a lot more streamlined, and a lot more effective.
Due respect, but if we agree this, it is set in stone until next year. This is the point where we should be debating
We
it.
did discuss this at great length, didn't we, Councillor?
You may have done, but we haven't.
Yeah.
If I could just add, Chair, because I was one of the three that did a substantial amount of work to this. The two things I had concerns over, one was planning, and I'm not sure it's going to be an issue because most of our planning meetings last 5 minutes. Most of them are delegated to officers at Rother anyway, so we wouldn't be able to make any comments. The quantity that go to the planning committee at Rother are few and far between within Bexhill. So if it was a problem, we should be able to be reactive enough to call an extraordinary general meeting, and I would suggest if we had more than one in a year, then we would revisit that process. With regard to the numbers in the committees, we spoke at length about it, and a lot of the committees have 9 on them, which is sometimes difficult to get any real debate and decision making because there's too many on that committee. So if we chose to make it at 6, and it is for full council to decide that, we're not going to know how many people wish to stand on committees. Currently there's three vacancies where people aren't fulfilling those roles, but of course if we reduce the amount of committees there are, and there's 18 councillors and 18 places on committees, if everybody wanted to go on the committees, that would be one committee each councillor to go on. That's why we came up with a number of 6. That is for debate, but obviously we're not going to know what the number of councillors that want to go on the committee is likely to be until we put our own nominations forward for which committees we want to go on for the next year. I would suggest that when that happens, if there is 9 in each committee, then it will be pretty obvious that we would have 9 on each committee. But we don't know that until people nominate themselves for the committee structure. So I don't believe that the intention is to fix it in stone until the nominations are made when we decide how many numbers are going to go in there. If you remember at May's first full council meeting, there was a decision made then to increase the number in the asset transfer from 6 to 9, and that was done at that meeting. So that can still be done at that very first meeting of that next year, is my understanding.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else got any questions? Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Chair. Just clarification, the Climate, Nature and Environment Committee is now essentially subsumed into the Finance and General Purposes as a subset of that?
No.
So it's still a standalone committee?
No, it's going to be merged with the Asset Transfer Committee, and it will be called the Amenities Committee.
It worried me that the Asset Transfer Committee has a lot of not problems, but a long and difficult process in devolving various assets. And I'd hate to think that everything else to do with climate, nature and the environment gets bogged down within that. It seemed a better thing to have to separate those two, because I think it's just pushing all the climate, nature and environment items into what is really a very complex committee, and it really doesn't need to be. They're not necessarily easy bedfellows.
Well, this is something that the three of us had a look at very seriously, and that was our recommendation. So if you don't approve of that, then your comments will be noted.
I just want to share that with other members in case they felt the same, and would maybe want to support the continuation of that committee on its own, rather than have it, as I say, tied into the complications of asset transfer.
Well, I think that the two, under the auspices of the title of amenities, they should gel very well together, the two different aspects. So, who's next? Sorry. Councillor Goss.
Thank you. Yeah, I was also going to raise the point about the planning committee. As it was being read, as I read this here, basically everybody gets a list and have to respond within 7 days. It's true that sometimes it is very brief. Sometimes it's long, and the amount of work behind it, although in the meeting it's ticked off, you've got to look at each one. You've got to open each one and look at it. For it to go to 18 people, have to open and do that, it's actually putting a lot more work in, a lot more hours in overall than it is streamlining it down.
I understood that these planning applications were apportioned in ward order. So
They are, well, they note the ward down that it's in, but not in a particular order. And yes, I mean, it doesn't say here that you only look after your ward.
No, that was the
I've
intention.
been involved in it for a few months, and I go through every planning application, look it up, and just see what's involved. 90% of them, there's nothing to comment on, it's people doing an extension or whatever. But sometimes there is something which will affect people or affects the residents who we're representing anyway. So it's looking at all those, any objections and whatever said there. That was just the point that there is more behind it than there is than the 10-minute meeting that we have.
well,
which ticks off
absolutely,
most.
but to my mind it would make us more vigilant to what's going on in our wards, and
If
we'd be
you are
looking
only
out
looking at
for
your ward.
items of concerns. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't what was sort of said in here. The other thing was, to agree with Councillor Byrne, I saw asset transfer as, although it is an asset, it is, or an amenity, right? It is rather a different animal to CNE. And considering what's needed to be looked at in that, sort of a little more technically in some ways, if you like, it just seemed that mixing it in with CNE was possibly taking a lot away from it. I have, let us say, less interest in things like allotments and that sort of thing. Not something I know anything about growing in, but asset transfer was something that I joined into because I do have views on it. Technically, as a background, I can sort of give some views on it. But it just seemed putting it in with, I can't say it being amenity, but putting it in with CNE type work, it is clouding it sort of thing.
Well, yeah, Councillor Wilson.
Sorry, my view.
Yeah, Councillor Wilson.
Just to give a broader picture of that, if you take the CDN, just to put a broader picture on that, if you take the CDN and the E as separate, the climate has actually gone up into full council. So full council is responsible for the climate because that is very high profile. The nature and the environment we should look at the nature and the environment as an amenity within Bexhill. And the crucial bit I see within this change potentially is we're losing the word asset and replacing it with amenity. So the nature and the environment within Bexhill, so everything to do with nature, anything to do with the environment like playing fields, etc., is an amenity within, it's something that is usable within the town of Bexhill. So that's why they fit, that's why we felt they fitted closer together. The climate was the real subject of a long discussion, and by pushing it up at full council, every decision that is then made by full council, we should then always consider the climate and climate action plan that is in place, that's been put there by Bexhill Town Council as first and foremost in any decision that is made. So it's got a greater importance than what it had before because it's gone up a level. And by having the nature and the environment merging with other issues to do with anything within Bexhill, i.e. an amenity, as it was called an asset, it was a natural fit. That's why it was done.
Right, thank you, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Jacqueline.
I'm happy with the change proposed with the C going to full and the NE going with assets. I spoke at a net zero conference on Thursday and had a good long chat with the chair of the Climate Change Committee, and one of the things that came up is the difference between the theoretical possibilities and the practical realities of delivering net zero. So anything that brings together the theoretical and the actual would be good in my view.
Okay. So are we all ready to have a vote on this?
Could I make a proposal that we continue with our standalone planning meetings?
Okay.
We've just seen a perfect example of how it can work, because we had a meeting that lasted not very long, and the following meeting met at the rising of planning, and that shows you how quickly it can be acted upon. It can work. We do not have to absorb it into full council. It can be at the start of various meetings in line with the planning cycle.
Okay, well, maybe can we debate what Councillor Pym, can we have a seconder for Councillor Plym's motion that the planning meetings stay as they are? Were you seconding that, or did you want to say something?
Well, yeah, I'll second it. I was actually going to ask, how are you planning on voting on this? Is it a blanket thing?
Well, I was
you
hoping
vote on
that
the whole thing, or are you going to vote on each section? I mean, there are sections I have no comment on, and there are sections I do.
Well, if a concern's been raised, and it's our job to, in a democratic way, listen to people's concerns, this was just our précis and our assessment of the best way to amend the terms of reference. If this has come up now, then I think it's something that we need to settle, and rather than go running roughshod over everybody's ideas. Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Chair. I just wondered if we could, if Councillor Plym wanted to amend the motion, we could vote on an amended motion. Unless you actually want to defer decisions on this particular motion and reintroduce it to Council later.
I think. Well, let's see what the.
It's a more usual way of doing it if various clauses in a composite motion.
Well, from an intellectual point of view, I'd like to see what the feeling is about keeping the planning meetings going as they are, just to get a feel for what people think. And if then we feel that things need to be amended, then we will act accordingly.
On a point of order, Chair, you've had a proposal and a seconder. Should that not mean that we should vote on whether the planning carries on as it is now, or
well,
not?
That's what I was hoping we could do, yes. Okay. So we've got a proposal for the planning meetings to carry on as they are, and that's been seconded by Councillor Goss. So could I have a show of hands for see what people think about that? 1, 2, 3, 4.
We're actually voting for, are we? Not just
For,
expressing an
to
interest.
continue with the planning committee meetings. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And is anyone against this? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I think that motion's been carried, and on that basis maybe we should take that into account and refer back to the terms of reference, the findings, and then come back and ask for another approval. So I think we should defer this until the next meeting and come back with revised proposals. Is everybody happy to do that? Councillor Tempeh?
Yeah, can I?
Yes, I pointed on number 8. You've got engagement communication. You turn over 8.1a. It's referred to the Planning and Development Committee.
Yes, a typo.
Yeah, well, it's probably a typo, yes. But if it's been agreed that we're going to be reviewing the position of the planning committee. Did you want to say something, Councillor Tempeh?
Yeah, please. Thank you, Chair. I'm just a bit confused. We've got, because I have a question about Appendix F, which is standing orders, but this terms of reference is also Appendix F. So
yeah, they're all Appendix F because we were reviewing all three of these items.
So can I ask my question about standing
Not yet, because we're doing terms of reference. And I think it's been resolved to defer this until the next meeting when we'll come back with fresh proposals. Sorry, did you want to say something, Councillor?
Could we not just take out the planning side of it and vote for the rest, for the other things? No? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, the rest of the proposals would be, I've lost the plot, to Sorry, Councillor Plym.
Yes, yeah. We've decided to keep planning as a standalone meeting. Therefore, that comes out of the equation. We've still got to debate the rest of the items in terms of reference. Now, as Councillor Byrne pointed out, we can either carry on debating or we can defer it. My mind will be to carry on debating it because there may not be much more that we've got to debate. That is yet to be seen.
Okay, so to itemise this and these proposals, the renaming, shall we start with the simple ones? The renaming of the Finance and Audit Committee. The Finance and General Purposes will be renamed the Finance and Audit Committee, and it will cover the role of the Human Resources Subcommittee, and the terms of reference will stay the same on that. Is everybody happy to vote for the Finance and Audit Committee or the Finance and General Purposes Committee to be renamed Finance and Audit Committee?
Yes.
Sorry, Councillor Crotty, what did you want to say?
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, indulge my autisticness, but you mentioned about this terms of reference as a we. Who are we?
Well, this is reporting on the findings of a small working group of myself, Councillor Drayson and Councillor Wilson.
Right.
So we've gone through each item individually, and this is our recommendations resulting of it.
Okay.
So, right, okay. So I ask for an opinion on this Finance and Audit Committee item. It was Finance and General Purposes. It's been renamed Finance and Audit Committee with Human Resources Subcommittee. Terms of reference remains the same. Is everyone happy to go ahead with that? Yeah. Can I have a seconder for that? Yeah. That's Councillor Ruston. And can I have a show of hands, please? Right, anyone against that? Right, well that's been carried, so we'll stick with the Finance and Audit Committee. The next one on the list here is the Amenities Committee, which recommends the merging of the Asset Transfer Committee and the Climate, Nature and Environment Committee, with the Accessibility Working Group Advisory Committee being the subcommittee from this Amenities Committee. Councillor Byrne.
I'd just like to restate my point that I still feel that if it's going to be an Amenities Committee, I would like to at least see a discrete subcommittee of climate, nature and the environment, because I don't see it sitting alongside the devolution issues, and I just feel it will slow everything down and take the focus away from climate and nature and get it embroiled with a more difficult topic. So I would like to see that amended, either that the Climate, Nature and Environment Committee stays as is, or that it becomes a subgroup of the Amenities Committee. I take Councillor Wilson's point that they do cluster together, but just the type of debate it's going to have and the type of external pressures that are going to be on those debates are very different. So I would still like to see Climate, Nature and the Environment as either a subset or a separate committee.
Okay, so is that a motion that you want to propose?
Yes, please.
Yeah, could I have a seconder for that? Are you seconding that, Councillor Crotty? Right, okay, well can I have a show of hands? And the proposal is that the Amenities Committee has a subcommittee to address climate, nature and environment issues. Well, should we vote on that first of all?
Sorry, Chair. Are we confusing the matter where we've got the climate at the full council and then we've got a climate, nature and environment? Should we, if we're going to have a subcommittee of the Amenities Committee, shouldn't it be called Nature and Environment because full council has climate?
Yeah, they've got control of the climate scheme.
We wouldn't want climate at two levels in the structure, is what I'm saying.
Right, okay. So, Councillor Byrne.
Just point out that reports from the committees come to full council, don't they? So any report of the Climate, Nature and Environment Committee, subcommittee, would come to full council for debate. So it wouldn't need to, the two don't preclude each other.
Well, I think the proposal was for the full council to have responsibility over the climate plan as well. So,
which it has anyway, surely. Every committee reports to full council, and full council has to okay the...
It will wait for a report from Climate, Nature and Environment. There's nothing in the terms of reference for full council making them responsible for the climate plan. So, right. Councillor Boston.
Just to reiterate, I mean, maybe amenities committee needs sort of looking at again. I mean, I was going to say that the asset transfer or amenity transfer, if you want to call it that now, should maybe be a separate sort of subcommittee, because it is a sort of different animal, different considerations. But I mean, that's tending towards taking Councillor Byrne's considerations, effectively two committees, two subcommittees, virtually back to two committees.
I was trying to make this a little less complicated, and I think
I appreciate, I appreciate what you're sort of trying to do here. I'm just concerned that they're approaching things in different ways and looked at differently, which is possibly why they're separate now. And it sort of works the way it is at the moment. I just think they're going to get clouded together if you try and put them together, and they're not going to work in that way. One is sort of nature and environment, different, it's an amenity sort of thing, but you're on one of them, you're running the amenity that you've got, or considering that, and the other one is consideration of how you take over an amenity, and negotiations on that. So.
Yeah, okay. Can I just stop you? And Councillor Jacqueline, do you want to say something?
I quite like if things are kept simple. Second point, I might have missed something, but what can the Town Council actually do about the weather or the climate?
Well, we'd just, I don't know, we'd have to review items on the agenda if they came up for review in the appropriate way, in the same way that Climate, Nature and Environment Committee do. Councillor Byrne.
I'd be very happy if it's within procedures to answer Councillor Jacqueline's point, in that many councils take the view that by adding their voice to various climate initiatives, they are actually going to bring about a change. This is a global point of view, this is a global problem, but everybody's got to contribute to it, and I don't think it's whistling. You could say we're a small island on a large globe, why are we bothering? But that's not true. International, national, local, national and international pressure have considerably altered the way in which we use our resources and the way in which we treat our planet. So I think it's a valuable thing to do, and it's valuable for a body like this to make statements on it.
So are you actually saying that you consider that should be something that comes under the auspices in the terms of reference for the full council?
Climate, yes, I think so. Where there is a general climate dimension, if you like, to decisions of full council, then yes, they should be debated at full council and minuted as decisions of full council.
So how is that going to affect the proposal you just made about having a subcommittee to discuss climate, nature and environment?
Well, I was still under the impression that those committees come back to full council. You're saying that the committees are actually totally autonomous and don't come back to other members. So if you're not on a committee, you don't have any say on a particular subject. I mean, excuse me if I've misunderstood, but this seems a very unusual procedure.
Yes, can you please?
Sure. I think it's difficult if you're a district council as well as a town council. So a town council operates using Section 101 of the Local Government Act, which is the delegation of powers. So all the powers sit at full council. So all the powers that you have sit with full council. Full council can decide to delegate those decision-making powers to committees, and then the committees can decide to delegate their decision-making powers to a subcommittee. So, in the current terms of reference, the full council has passed on certain decision-making powers to do with climate. If you look at the responsibilities section of this document, it tells you responsibilities and rights and powers. They're the things that the full council has delegated the decision-making to that committee. So, yes, in a town council, if the full council says, we trust you as a committee to make those decisions, it approves it within the terms of reference, and then that committee has that sole power. So they don't have to report back those decisions. They're reported in the minutes as a legal decision because they were made under that delegation of authority. So what the working group did was take all of the responsibilities and rights and powers that currently exist within this council and divided them up into different committees. So none of these rights and powers and responsibilities have changed. What the working group have done is move them under different named headings of committees. So I think what they're trying to say is they are looking at streamlining the operations of the council so that you don't have to have so many meetings in order to make decisions, that some of those rights and powers are amalgamated into because generally it's the same group of people. If the asset transfer committee sit and then say the finance committee sit, generally they're around about the same members. So rather than have two separate meetings, if you amalgamate certain powers, you would have just one meeting to make those decisions. So I think that's right. Absolutely. I think that's what they were trying to capture. So all of the rights and powers and responsibilities are exactly the same as they've always been. They've just been divided into different groups. And they've amended some of the names to reflect what those groups do. So the decision for you tonight is, do you agree with their recommendation of where they've sat those rights and powers? And if you don't, you can either ask them to go away and rethink it based on your views, or you can make a resolution tonight and move it forward. And that's where you are now.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. So where are we on Amenities Committee? To summarise now. Is everyone happy with the clerk's explanation of things? Right, can I have a seconder then to accept the Amenities Committee with the Accessibility Working Group Advisory Committee as a subcommittee? Are you seconding that, Councillor Hussain? Right. Councillor Jacqueline? Okay, well, okay, seconded then. So can I have a show of hands for the Amenities Committee, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, anyone against? 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyone abstaining? 2 abstaining. So, what was the count? The motion's been carried then. We'll deal with the Amenities Committee with the full council having control over the decision making for the climate plan. So the next item here is Engagements and Communications Committee. So that used to be the Community Committee, so that's just been renamed, and I think it will have the same powers and terms of references previously. So I think that's pretty straightforward. Can I have a seconder for that? Councillor Ruston, and can I have a show of hands, please? Right, that's been carried. And then the other group on this schedule was the Neighbourhood Steering Group Advisory Committee. That hasn't been formed yet. That we need to find out how to get a neighbourhood plan sorted out. And when we've got something in concrete plans, then that will come up for debate, and there'll be terms of reference to be discussed then. So to just crazy what's been said, I think we're going to have to review what's happening with the planning and defer that to the next meeting. Is that right?
No, so you've resolved, Chair, so you've resolved to keep a separate planning committee, so that will continue as it is, and all of the other recommendations within the report will be adopted.
Okay, right. Is everyone happy with that? Oh, good. Okay, right. So much for me thinking that's going to be easy. So going on to the next item on this is another item F, appendices XF, financial regulations. Has anyone got anything they'd like to say about financial regulations? They have had a few minor amendments, but they're more or less the same as they were. So can I have a seconder to get that approved for the next year?
What were the changes? I mean, everything here says it's the standing orders, etc. It's updated April 22. It didn't say anything's changed.
Standing orders. I think I'm talking about the financial regulations now.
Okay, sorry. Well, I mean, again,
and I think
there is nothing.
That there were a few minor amendments to give the officers a little bit more financial control over what they could order. I think.
Okay, it just didn't say
yes,
that there was
you just explain
change on it. It just says financial year 2019. So I didn't know what to look for.
Okay, can you elaborate, please?
Yeah, shall I clarify? So the two documents are now model documents. The financial rate was created in 2019 and the standing orders were created in 2022. What you do as a town council is every year you have a look at those documents and make sure that they meet your needs. Anything in bold type is things that are legislative and you can't change. Anything in non-bold type are things that you can change the nuances of your town council and your needs, because some councils are very small and some councils are very large. So you'll see that what we've done is coloured in red all of the changes that the working group considered needed to be made to support the changes in the terms of reference. So where you change the name of the Finance Committee from the Finance and General Purposes Committee to the Finance and Audit Committee, they went through the financial regulations, and in red you'll see they changed that name. So if you look at the financial regs first, if you look at that first, you'll see all of the changes that the working group are proposing are detailed in red. One thing that they did do, which might be easier if I explain it for you now, is that they updated how financial transactions are put to the council. This doesn't make any difference to officers. What it makes a difference to is you as a corporate body. So what they looked at was originally you agreed to have a project plan policy which said that any purchase that a committee wanted to do, like a project, over £10,000 had to go to the Finance Committee to be reviewed and risk assessed and then went to full council. So what the working group said, and correct me if I think I've got this right, what they meant in this recommendation is that to save the process of that project going through finance and then going to full council, which can take several months, they amended the spending limits of committees to now state that rather than anything over £25,000 goes to full council, they lowered it. So anything a committee does now over £10,000 has to be approved by full council. So it's tightened the spending of a committee, whereas before the 25,000 applied, but it had to go via finance before it went to full council. Now, anything over £10,000 doesn't have to go through finance, but it comes direct to all of you. So the entire corporate body reviews any projects, new expenditure over £10,000.
Okay, thank you.
Is that you agree
Yes.
with that?
Yes.
That's the main change, and we slightly increased the emergency purchase. Because as an officer, if there's an emergency, I had approval to spend £500 to do something that might be affecting your services, and we upped that slightly because we felt now that we've got the hub and we've got lots of things going on, there might be the need to spend a little bit more than that in an emergency, which has to be then reported back to you and managed, etc. So I think that's it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it was just there wasn't anything to identify on the or any notes with it to say what was what was still dated.
Councillor Plym, did you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thanks for that explanation of the financial regs there. Would, if I can ask the clerk, the proper financial officer, a question, is there anything that we should be aware of within the changes that would increase our risk as a council?
Yes,
Chair, would I be able to ask Councillor Flynn for some clarification?
Yes, certainly.
When you say risk, do you mean financial risk or other risks?
Either.
Okay. That's why I reviewed them after they'd sent them, because I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything legislative or we were open to anything. In fact, I think you've tightened the risk of the spending by lowering the limit of committee spending. So that now means that a committee can only spend up to £10,000 without any approval from anyone else, whereas before they had 25. So that's reduced your risk of a committee spending a large amount of money. You've obviously exposed yourself to me spending a little bit more by like 500 quid. So it's not so that whilst you've exposed your risk of me having to spend more in an emergency, it is only 500 quid. So it's not a large risk, and that has to be reported back, and you would audit that. Other than that, the model documents are all set up to reduce the risk. So I think you've got most things covered. But if you don't feel comfortable, then you can ask the working group to go back again and review it and come back again. So you don't have to adopt it tonight if you don't feel comfortable.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So can I have a seconder for these financial regulations? Oh, sorry, Councillor Wilson.
Just to add another rationale behind it, I had sensed since I've been a councillor, there's a lot of procrastination and delays in getting anything done. And one of the most ridiculous things was that committees sent something to the Finance Committee who had no powers to say yes or no, and then it went to full council, it was over 25,000. So what we looked at was a way of speeding up getting these small projects underway, meaning that it misses 1 month's meetings, so we've got the opportunity now to get projects that other committees are doing through quicker, and everybody will have an overview of it because it will go straight to full council. So it will be a quicker way to get things happening. That was the logic behind it. Thank you.
Okay, so does somebody second that for me? The approval of the financial regulations, the amendments. Were you seconding that, Councillor Flynn? Okay. And can I have a show of hands to get this approved, please? Right, that motion's been carried. Thank you. And finally, item Appendix F, standing orders. Councillor Temper, did you say you had a question on that?
Yeah, well, it's more of a clarification, really. Item number 25, A2, restrictions on councillor activities. It says, unless duly authorised, no councillor shall issue orders, instructions or directions. I'd like to know to who and when, because it's very vague.
Right, did you say this is item 25?
Item 25, A2. It's on page 27.
Okay. 2. Unless duly authorised, no councillor shall issue orders, instructions or directions. So do you want a clarification on that?
Yeah, I don't understand what it means. I mean, does it mean I can never issue an order or a direction ever?
Yeah, I mean,
what does it actually mean?
My interpretation of that is, as a corporate body, there's no one councillor has got any right to influence or make a decision. Am I correct?
Through you, Chair, this comes back to Section 101 of the Local Government Act 1972, in that the council can only delegate its functions to a committee or an officer. It's unlawful for a councillor to carry out an action on behalf of the council.
But that isn't what it says. It doesn't say on behalf of the council. It just says I'm not allowed to issue orders, instructions or directions. So I think you need to add on behalf of the council.
Councillors can't issue any orders or instructions or for anything. So whether that's because when you're acting as a councillor, you can only act at the meeting of the corporate body. And outside of the meeting, you have no powers. So you wouldn't necessarily have to clarify that that means on behalf of council, because actually, as a councillor, you don't have any powers outside of a corporate body.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor Goss, did you want to say something?
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask, unless duly authorised by whom? But from what the clerk's saying, it's unless it's just that bit could come out and it's just no councillor shall. Full stop. There is no authorisation.
Yes, please.
So through you, Chair, it's referring to, because when you're sitting as a councillor in a committee, the committee may issue a direction or an order. So as a councillor, you're duly authorised in a committee, you would duly authorise me as an officer to do something, because the full council may delegate you the power to do that. I would advise not to start changing the wording of documents that are recommended by our National Association of Local Councils. They've set those out to protect us as a corporate body, and they recommend that these are how we operate. So I think if we start adding words and starting to amend those to that degree, we may leave ourselves exposed if something goes wrong, and then we come to our insurance and we've started to change some of those things that are recommended. So I think as long as everybody understands that under your role as a councillor, you can only act in a meeting, I think that covers it.
Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Chair. I think Clark has explained it very well, and therefore it should say, when acting as a councillor. Not a councillor may not do this, that and the other, but a councillor when acting as a councillor. That would appear to be the problem, because if you have business interests which could conceivably be interpreted as having an effect on the council, this could land you in trouble. But you could then say, I was not acting as a councillor, I was acting as a director of this, or as the chairman of that. So the fact that the clerk did put those words in each time she explained the situation, I feel they should be in the document.
Yes, please.
I think we need to clarify this today, just so that we really get to the point of we understand. Issuing of orders and directions, you can only issue an order and direction to me. Okay, so you can't issue directions and orders to anyone else other than the staff. Okay, so if you were active, you can't act as anybody else, because I only answer to the corporate body, and the corporate body can only tell me what to do. So from I think from a wording point of view, you as a person, you can't act as anything else. You with me? So your role as a councillor means that you come to a corporate body meeting and you make a decision as a corporate body, and that decision is carried out by an officer of the council or the committee. There isn't any other options for a member of the council to go and give instructions, direction and orders to anybody, because your role is to come to the meeting, make a strategic decision, and then either delegate that decision for the committee to carry out or for me to carry out. There isn't any other options for any other orders or instructions to be issued. Does that make sense?
Yes, well, it does to me, yeah. I mean, that's the way I've always worked. Councillor Thomas.
Yes, it says restriction inspect any land or premises which the council has a right or duty to inspect. Does this mean to say that we cannot, for example, go to the allotments and inspect it?
Unless we delegate someone to do that from the council, no.
But then surely we are delegated as a member of the CNE or whatever committee. That is our job as a committee member.
Yes, please.
I think that maybe just to help you, because I think maybe we'll go around in circles, why don't I get some advice from NAUC? So why don't I get a written set of advice from our advisors that explains to you about delegation of authority and that part of the law? Because then I think that will clarify all of that from the body that advises us, and then if there's questions from there, maybe you can come back to me and then we can have some meetings about that separately, because I feel like you might be caught up in quite a lot of detail here, which actually is the law and we can't change it. That's how a corporate body operates.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Flynn.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Just to point out that it was only the red items on here that have been altered. The black items are directly from Model Standing Orders 2018, updated 2022, from NAUC. And the clerk was exactly right. We will be a little bit foolish to start messing around with the wording that is part of their Model Standing Orders. it could lend all sorts of problems, fiddling words left, right and centre.
Yeah.
So these words have been given to us by NALC. If we disagree with the wording that's in there, bear in mind they were reviewed 2 years ago. I'm guessing that they're under review as we speak, ready for the end of this year or maybe next year. So it might be worth addressing concerns regarding the specific wording to NALC rather than anyone here who have not had any part in the wording of this document other than those items in red.
To be honest, I don't think we've recommended any. I don't think we've recommended any changes to these standing orders. I've gone through them individually, one by one, and crossed them off and ticked them, and I've been happy with them and at peace with them. So I couldn't see anything here that I needed to alter. So, sorry, did you want to say something, Councillor Ruston?
Yeah, just to echo what Councillor Plymouth said, I think we've had this conversation 2 or 3 times since the council's begun. I've got absolutely no issues with them. I appreciate the clerk's suggestion to go out and get some other ideas, but I think let's still go for the vote and put it through because, as I say, I've got no problem.
Well, as I said, this is I took a very forensic interest in this and went through it, and as I said, I was at peace with everything and didn't recommend any changes to this personally. And I don't think anyone else did on our working group. Councillor Wilson.
If I can just add to that, let's not forget that the standing orders is based with a heading of Bexhill Town Council. So when it says, you've got to remember it's the Bexhill Town Council. These are standard documents that are used in many, many councils. We didn't review, we looked at it, saw its suitability, and it does match the world of a corporate body. Because if people around this table by now, some of us have only been here 9-10 months, some have been slightly less, some more, but we should all know by now that as a corporate body, we're not able to visit as a corporate body, make a decision outside of that corporate body, unless either the committee or full council have made that. So if you have that in the back of your mind when you're reading the standing orders, it does make sense and it does flow. And we've had 3 people with our clerk review them, and that's where we are with it. So I think it's not a bad idea that the clerk's offered to go to NALC and ask for advice, but personally I support Councillor Russell and Councillor Plymouth. These are robust enough and we should move on and not take any risks.
Can I just ask for Councillor Jacqueline?
I'm completely happy with the wording. I presume the reason why the clerk added extra words is because when you're asked to explain something, you don't repeat the words that exist, but you add extra words in order to explain it. So I concur with my colleagues and we vote on it.
Okay, well, can I have a seconder for this to accept the standing orders, please? One seconder. Councillor Pym. Okay, and can I have a vote on it then? All in favour of adopting this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Anyone against? Any abstaining? Right, the motion's been carried. Thank you. Right, so the next item on the agenda is item 11, Rother District Council Liaison. To note, update on High Street Task Force, and I've got some information on that. The next meeting of the Task Force group has been scheduled for Thursday the 14th of March, by which time all reports should have been collated and we should be in a good position to move the proposals forward. So there's work happening and there's going to be decisions made on that. Okay? So item B...
Sorry, can I just ask a question?
Yes.
I've asked previously whether it's through the full council or
I've asked previously whether through full council or through a committee, but I'd like some explanation as to who the High Street Task Force are accountable to. Who are they financially accountable to, and who are they accountable for any decisions they make?
As I understand it, there are 6 people on this task force team that are going to put their proposals forward. The proposals will be collated and then they'll be presented to the... I've forgotten the name. no, not the town board, it's the government authority delegating, DLUP. Yes, that's it. And it'll be for them to take it further. And I don't think the impression I'm getting that this isn't a political thing, it's just something to do something good for our town.
No doubt about that, and I don't think anyone sort of would deny the opportunity of the town benefiting from this sort of money. But it's public money, and they don't seem to be accountable to anybody other than the person that's giving them the money.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry. There is no money involved. So, no. So, initially, I understand it, and this is from what I understand, is that Rother District Council were given a grant from the government for a consultant to help draw up a plan for high streets, or regenerating high streets. That has been used by Rother, so that was not an advisor. One of the recommendations that came out of that was that the Rother should set up a high street task force, which is a number of representatives from different groups within Bexhill, to have a look at the town centre as a whole and put together, do the visioning exercise and put together a plan, because it's the principal authority's role to do the strategic planning for town centres. So as part of their role, so they own that group. They asked for members of the Chamber of Commerce, the Town Council, RVA, I think, to come onto that group in order to form a vision which goes back to Rother and forms part of their town planning strategy. So there is no money being spent by the group. They are literally having meetings, putting together a vision for the town, which I think Councillor Brailsford asked you for your input, and I think you've sent some ideas in, and that'll be presented back to Rother, and they will then use that to form part of their town centre strategy moving forward. I think that's right.
Yes, thank you. And obviously there'll be further reports to make as the situation progresses. So to go on to item B, to note any updates on leaders' meetings. I think I gave a comprehensive report on what happened at the meeting that took place on the 24th of January, and arrangements are now being made to organise the next leaders' meeting. So as soon as that happens, you'll be given a full update on what's been transpired from there. Item 12, Sussex Police Liaison, to note no further update. So I don't think there's anything else that can be said about that. Item 13, North Eye Asylum Proposal. Has anyone got any updates on the North Eye situation for this meeting? No? Okay. So we'll go on to item 14, St Leonard's Road Greening Project, to receive updates. I don't think... Are there any updates on that? No? Okay. Item 15, Accessible Play Park for Bexhill, to receive updates. And at this stage, I would like to hand this item over to Councillors Ruston and L to talk us through their plans and aspirations for this project.
I'm happy to say that we finally do have some updates on the play park. Just a quick recap on what we're looking at. We're looking at creating a fully inclusive play park available for children of all abilities. We do have actually a poster here. This is from one of the companies. So what we're looking at really is a site where children of all abilities can enjoy. So Councillor Carroll might turn that around to the other side. So this is the way that I envisioned it. We have got different designs as well. All these designs are amendable. We've got all the quotes with the prices for separate pieces of equipment as well, so we can take things off, add them, not a problem. So for example, here we've got 2 tower units for children of all abilities. Also 2 different swing sets for children of all abilities, including tower units and swing sets that you can actually use with wheelchairs, so they're wheelchair accessible units, as well as the roundabout in the middle and shelter. This is proposed to be on the right hand side of the co-op, so Bexhill Recreation Ground. Like I said, there's lots of different kinds of designs that we've got. I've floated a few around, and I think we've got them by email as well. But the way that I envisioned it, I'm not saying this company in particular, but the way that I envisioned it in design is to be accessible to children of all abilities. Now what I do want to say on this situation is I believe this project is an investment into our community, and it's an investment into our children, and through them
it's an investment into our future as a town. We've been a hard-working, productive council. You have as well, many of you before I arrived. And the residents of Bexhill have put a lot of trust into us being a progressive and forward-thinking council. Now, a project like this is a project that we can visually see, we can visually touch, we can use. The community will be able to benefit from it, not just today, but for maybe decades to come. There's parks now that I played in as a child, and my son is now playing in Bexhill. Obviously they need maintaining, but once the structure is there, you've got a park there, you know there's going to be a park there for a considerable amount of time. Like I said, I believe this is an investment into the community. Everyone's seen the ideas that we floated around, everyone's seen the pictures, everyone's seen the quotes. Again, these quotes are amendable, these designs are amendable to how we would like to see them. However, what I would like to do tonight, if possible, would be to choose a company to go forward with if possible, and everyone agrees to that, and to actually get the ball rolling on this, and to start a very important project, not just for Bexhill Town Council itself, but for the Bexhill community and our residents. This is our chance to do some real good, and this is our chance to do what we're here for. This is why we've been elected, this is why we stood up for election, this is why we're here for our residents. And I believe this, our children, is the future, and they deserve that we put something into the town of this kind. I think it's a substantial project, and I hope to see everyone raise their hands and agree with it.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, and I must say personally how proud I am of both of you for the work that you've put into this. You two councillors, that your proposals will increase the facilities to cater for families to enable children of all abilities inclusively to enjoy playing together. We are a comparatively new council, and as we have been able to conserve quite a substantial amount in our reserves, this would be a great time and a great opportunity to put our resources into positive action for the community which we represent. And I thank you very much for that. So, Councillor L.
I do apologise. I'd just like to add to that, through you, Chair, we have looked, I believe, we've looked into possible grant options as well.
Yes.
And it was also a thought process of mine that maybe we could approach. Well, I have been approached by them before, but we as the Town Council could approach Hastings Direct for possible grants as well, even though we had funds. I think it's something that would benefit looking into grants with.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So, thank you. Councillor Tempe.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Els. This is absolutely brilliant. And parks come under my portfolio at Rother District. So I would suggest that this would be a great project for the community grant programme. But that will probably need some sort of match funding. I don't know what the budget is. I didn't hear how much it would cost. Do you?
It's looking around, I mean, the quotes that we've got are between 85, ranging up to 150,000. So the big changes in price is the flooring. So having rubber mats would bring it down by 50,000. Whereas there's companies here that would like to dig it up and wet pour on the bottom, and also use what they dig up to then create mounds that they could play on as well. So that brings it up an extra, I believe it's 40,000-50,000 roughly. So you're looking anywhere between 85 and 150.
Okay, well the maximum grant from community grants is 30,000. So you need to bear that in mind for other match funding. But I think it's a brilliant project. Well done.
Thank you.
Councillor Byrne.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, absolutely brilliant. Have you thought of, I think Councillor Langlands, when she was a district councillor, was very keen on having notice boards at every child's play area with the little diagrams of British Sign Language to teach people to say, my name is and what is your name, simple phrase like that. I'm sure you've thought of it already, but if not, just underline it.
No, that's a brilliant idea, and there's also ideas for sensory play equipment as well, and visual. Any idea and any kind of addition to this is very welcome.
Yeah. Okay.
The other... Sorry, Chair.
Well, just look, Councillor Carroll had his hand up.
Oh, thank you. The other thing that was brought up, and I don't know how practical this is, but not all parents can necessarily read, and if there are any warning signs or anything of that nature, talking notice boards are really very cheap now, a lot easier to maintain than they ever were. So that's another thing you might want to give a bit of consideration to. As I say, that will be for the parents, but we can't assume everybody can read.
Again, this is why I'm happy that we've got this set of people here, fantastic ideas, and I'm sure we'll hear a lot more, and we'll have to take them forward.
Councillor Carroll, did you want to say something?
Yes, please, Chair. Thank you. I think it's great. I think what you brought to the table is excellent. I'd like to point out as well that there's two schools in particular that are very close to this area that will take great benefit, and anything in this time that we're living in that brings communities and families together, I can only applaud it. I'd like to point out as well, just to make people aware, that you're never too old to go on the swing, so it's not just for children, it is all-inclusive for everyone, for every age, for every ability, and I applaud both your work. Thank you.
So, have you got a proposal for this, just to push it forward?
Yes, I do, and also just to add to what Councillor Carroll said, we've got obviously St Mary's School and Glyn Gap School, and I've actually met with Glyn Gap School on 2 occasions. Once when I was up for election the first time round, which unfortunately I didn't get, and once the second time round as well, not too long ago. And a lot of the ideas in the vision for the park have come from the mistakes they made with their park in Glyn Gap and the brilliant positive ideas they've had. So they've really helped us push forward some ideas. So it was a very good point, and I should have pointed out the course, so I do appreciate it. My proposal would be, well, first of all, Councillor Hampton.
I think it's something before me, actually.
Sorry, can I just see what Councillor Wilson and Councillor Hampton want to say, and then we'll get this motion sorted out. Councillor Wilson.
I'd just like to reiterate what I've said. I think it's brilliant. I'm sure you'll be thinking about the maintenance costs and potential repair costs and insurance and everything else. And because it's going over 25,000, it will come back to full council anyway. But I see this as a really positive, and particularly bearing in mind with the SIL money and potential grants, this could be a cost-neutral situation. So the residents of Bexhill may not have to pay anything towards this. And this is what the town council should be doing. Yeah. What I would plead, and I mean this seriously, we should not shortcut something to get something done cheaper, because it won't last as long. If you look at the play area in Sidley that was refurbished by Rother last year, it's already coming up, and that's inside 12 months. So let's not do it cheap, let's do it properly. That's what I would say.
Okay. So, can I just ask Councillor Hampton?
Thank you. I'd like to repeat how excellent this idea is, and well done to both of you, because that's a lot of hard work's gone into that. I'd like to ask a constructive question. Please take this as constructive. So out of the 8 pieces of playground equipment here, how many of those pieces are suitable for children in wheelchairs?
Thank you very much. So I can just show that again. Obviously, there's so many pieces that you can choose from these companies. Yeah. This is what these are some pieces that at Glyn Gap they told me are necessary to have, and there are also pieces that the companies have suggested. So we've got a swing here which is accessible by wheelchair, and they say Glyn Gap. That's fundamental to have. They've opted against any kind of sand pits or anything like that because of foxes, unfortunately. And a lot of the sensory equipment, like the drums and the bongos, they've opted against because they've got parts of them that do go missing quite often. This is a whole unit, a whole tower there dedicated to wheelchair access. Again, we've got an extra swing there, which is a cradle swing, which can be used for children with disabilities. Again, and the roundabout is used by children of all abilities. And then we've got a net swing, normal swings, and another tower as well for all abilities. The shelter again was asked by Glyn Gap School to be put in. That was what they advised for rain and for sun.
Okay. So all children in wheelchairs can access every single piece of the...
No, apart from the swings on the left and the tower. The idea we were going for was there's people with siblings that can't use some, and then the other sibling can use the others. So they'll be able to play, everybody will be able to play together in a safe environment with access to equipment
So
that they
if you
can
had a
use
choice,
next to each other.
if you say, as you say, you have a choice of equipment, why don't you have it accessible for all people in wheelchairs, rather than just two pieces?
Yeah.
Out of interest.
Sorry, can you use your button?
Oh, sorry. Just up at the beginning, all these are optional.
Oh, right, okay.
This is
Well,
just- this is just a picture,
that's
sorry.
what I was trying to find
But
out.
the reason I looked at these options are that's a big metal cage that you wheel
Yeah.
a wheelchair in.
Yeah, I saw
another child that would want to sit down and use it won't be able to sit down and use it. So there's options for them as well.
Yeah.
Also, the ramps here again is for wheelchair use, whereas there will be children and a sibling or a friend that might want to use a slide or a climbing frame on the left. So in my vision, I've tried to incorporate something that everybody, they can play together in the same area rather than having to go to different parts. Obviously, like I said, these are optional and other ideas can be implemented. I did also want to move over to Councillor Wilson's suggestion of going for the more expensive option. I've done a little bit of research thinking, why is it £40,000 more expensive for a wet pool? I didn't quite understand. But when I looked into it, I saw that if you put rubber matting down, you still need to mow. Grass can come through the rubber matting. The rubber matting also may need to be changed at one point. Whereas a wet pour, nothing grows through the wet pour. It's wet pour, but it's also soft, so it is safe. This is information, obviously, that we could obtain more from the companies. That's the big change, really, price-wise.
Okay, so if I could just summarise, can we get a motion put forward and get this
My
agreed?
motion today would be, Chair, or shall we?
Tell me what you're proposing.
Yeah, so my motion would be that we choose a company to go with. We've had some time to look over the paper that was sent through. Choose a company maybe that we can go with, and I believe, through you, Chair, to the clerk, I believe that these are all checked and vetted companies, and they've done, they've done their due diligence on what they've done before. And then we go from there when it comes to designs and options.
So maybe a practical proposal would be to see what monies there are available without any impact on our reserves, see what the still money situation is. And I think you did say that match funding could be available, and come back with a report to us as to the financial situation, how much we could put and how much we could get for a grant. This might be too simplistic. So I don't want to talk about figures, because I think that could be...
I think that might delay it, because if you read in the report that we've provided for you, it shows you the grants that are available.
Yeah.
And we've got still money already in our account. So if you want to move this project forward, it might be, and if you're all in favour, what we need to do to get those grants is to start the project, because we need to do a consultation as part of the grant process, then we need to apply for the grant, etc. So perhaps tonight you might want to resolve to proceed with the project so that we can start making those applications for grant, do all the requirements for the grant application. If the value's over 25,000, we have to put that out to tender on the Contracts Finder website. So you could agree tonight that I could do that. So we could actually put a specification out for tender. So if you're happy for us to work out that based on these pictures, or you might want to set up a small working group to come up with some ideas to draw the specification, that's your next step. So we can apply for the grants, but to do that we need the project, and to do the project we need to know what specification you want us to put out for works. So you can either delegate that function to me and I'll go away and do that, or if you're specific about that specification, you could set up a small working group to draw up the specification, bring it back to full council next month, approve the specification, and then I can put it on the Contract Finder website. If that makes sense.
Right. Councillor
I put a lot of time into this and a lot of research into this. My proposal would be, if it's okay with everybody, the specifications are there and they're there for a reason. The option for surfacing is up for debate, and if you'd like to do that tonight, I'm absolutely fine with that, but I really would like to get the ball rolling on this one and put it out for tender and get started on it, if that's okay with everybody.
Well, I think I don't want to get into too much detail. I think we need to get the principle sorted out and the agreement and the backing of this council and get things set going. So how can we simplify that, Julie?
Okay, so I think what you're saying is that you're going to delegate the authority to me to go away, draw up the specification. I'll consult with Councillor L before I put it out, just to make sure I've got everything covered. So whilst he doesn't have any powers to make any decisions or instruct any orders or tell me what to do, I can just check with him to make sure I've covered everything. So if you delegate the authority, I can move forward, draw up the specification, put that on the Contract Finder website, and then I can start to do the consultation and apply for grant funding to find out what we can get from those grants that we suggested in our report.
Yes, okay. Are you happy with that?
Music to my ears.
Absolutely. Could I have a second of them?
Just wanted to ask a question before we go forward. Can we make sure that we are giving the clerk a budget to work to as well?
Are we allowed to
I know
talk
there's a
finance?
ballpark figures. Have you got an idea of a budget that you need to work to?
Through you, Chair. I think when you're talking about projects like this, you'd probably be looking at a design and build project, because if what you would say to on your contract finder is, right, what we want is a accessible play area that includes X, Y, Z, whatever's in that spec, and you put it on there, and they all come back with prices. So you don't necessarily say to them, we've got X amount to spend. What you would do with design and build is say, this is what we like. Because you've already done the research, you know roughly what it should cost. And that's why you did the research, so that you know what to expect when you come back. So if they come back really high, you know that that's not reasonable. So I think you've done a really good set of research here, so you fully understand as a corporate body how much it should cost. If you put it design and build out for tender and those tenders come back, you can see, you know what to expect.
Yeah, I'm just, time's becoming a little bit short. Councillor Jacqueline, can you just say what you wanted to say on?
Could the specification be designed, built and maintained so that we don't end up with a cheap job that lasts a year?
That's why I had my hand up for, to be honest. It was exactly the same thing. There's two companies on here that I believe have given us a quote with a year, is it, or 2 years of maintaining it as well. So that's the exact same question I was going to ask. Think that Councillor Jackson is, can we look at an included price for maintaining for a certain number of years as well? Would that make sense to everyone else?
Can you add that onto the motion, please?
Yeah, certainly. And I'll also include, we need to negotiate with Rover District Council on the lease for the area. So we need to prove to the grant funders that we have a lease for that for a certain amount of time. So if you're happy for me to continue that, I can then draw up a draft lease with Rover for an extended period of time, so that we can qualify for certain grants that we wouldn't normally qualify for.
Very happy with that, thank you very much. And also, would we be able to go to Hastings direct, or is it too early for that just yet?
Well, can we get the motion forward, and then we can get to the working on it.
Absolutely.
So can I have a seconder for that motion, please? Councillor Crotty? Oh, Councillor Ruston. Well, Councillor Ruston, because they're both in the same ward. And can I have a show of hands to get this on the go, please? That's unanimous. Brilliant. Thank you so much. I'd love to give you a round of applause for that. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you, everybody. Very kind.
Yes. So, item 16, Putting Green and Crazy Golf. This is Councillor Hussein's project, so I will hand it over to him for an update.
So I'll keep it as quick as possible. You all had, I think Paul drew up last time, specifications for it and a few bits on it, some information. Obviously it's Crazy Golf. The Hastings World Championship is held in Hastings at their Crazy Golf. There's no reason that Bexhill can't have that in the future. My proposal today is basically just to have a pop-up for hopefully next year, next summer. I think it was looking around £8,000 for the summer season. We can then see the pros and cons for it to then proceed with, obviously, then upgrading it to a proper golf course, Crazy Golf course, shall I say. I know we need to go to Rover for land to see if they'll give us anywhere where we can actually set it up. My preference would be the Delaware Lawns. I know there's been other areas like Galley Hill. As a business sense, I don't think anyone, if we were to then sublet this to another company to run,
They wouldn't want it at Galley Hill. They would want it at the Delaware, where you've got your tourists, your people, easily accessible. It's by the town, and you know, I think it brings something to the seafront as well. We've got a lovely stretch of seafront. I know there'll be people against it with, you know, with how it looks or anything like that, but you've got enough seafront there to then bring your nicer parts of it, your bits for your kids, your families and whatever on the seafront. So yeah, I think that area would be the ideal for it. And yeah, as I said, I'll just keep it really simple, and that would be what I'd want to put forward, is that we can set up and maybe look at a pop-up there.
Okay, and do I understand you've got some information on that?
On the pop-up?
Yeah, on the prices and
yeah, so it's about
locations.
£8,000
yeah.
For a summer season for the pop-up. And yeah, I mean, the location, as I said, I'd say Delaware Lawn is definitely for it.
So you're proposing that we
look
approach
into
Rother to see what the
Rother first,
possibility.
see where they'll allow us to have it, and then obviously then look into a pop-up for next year for the summer season, to see how it is, look at the pros and cons of it, see if it runs well, and then be able to obviously maybe put it out to tender for one a proper.
Okay, we're running a bit short of time, so could I have a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Tempe. Did you want to say something, Councillor Crotty?
Yes, thank you, Chair. It's just a quick, it's a commendable idea, Councillor Hussain, and basically there was another suggestion I thought about putting the putting green was on one of the bowling greens by the pond in Edgware Park.
I'm sorry.
That was just an idea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but this is what we're discussing this, so we have to go with this at the moment. So, Councillor Ruston.
Yeah, just to say that I think for a seaside town we have one of the most boring seafronts that I've ever been to. Lots of nodding around the room, but when I was younger we had a great seafront. We had all this stuff there. When I take my kids down the beach, they can't wait to leave. I end up spending my money in Hastings and Eastbourne, Brighton. Not a lot of my money gets spent here during the summer.
Yeah, that's true.
My preference would be Galley Hill. What's the point? It's just dumped in the end. It's a quick win for Rother, makes it look good, brings stuff into us. If we're going to do it, we need to do it on the main seafront, buy the lawns and do it properly,
Right, so
and give something to residents that they'll be
thank
proud
you.
of.
So can we just clarify what this proposal is exactly? We have Councillor Tempe seconding it. So,
can I just say that in principle, I already know, because I already discussed it with Rother, that they think it's a great idea. It's just a lot of detail they need to know a lot of things. So the quicker you, we tell them this is what we want to do, then the questions will come.
okay, so we'll make a decision tonight to set the wheels turning on that. So, could you clarify again?
Yeah, I just think, as I said, at the moment it's going to be just asking Rother if we can have land to put it up.
At the Metropole Lawns?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, Mike, because following that, the first time we talked about this, not the last meeting, the meeting before, we made some inquiries to Rother and they said yes, they could possibly have a pop-up, but there might be some dates they couldn't have it because there are other events already booked. So if your resolution tonight is you want to proceed with it, I could go to Rother, give them the full details of what is involved with it, and ask them what dates they can accommodate. I take it to this summer, or are you talking next summer? Next summer. So I can say to them, right, in 2025, tell me all the dates that you can accommodate. This is the details of what they offer. Then maybe come back to you next meeting with all of the dates they can do, and then how much the cost is from the company for those dates. Which will give you like a final price and the dates, and then you'll know what's available, and then you can decide whether or not you want to go ahead. Would that be okay?
That's great. Sounds good to me. So we've got a proposer. Sorry, Councillor L.
Just to add, sorry, I'm a little bit off let's do it mode today. Let's ask for 2025. Are we may be, but are we very, very, very tight for this year as well, Sam? Would it be impossible? Would it be impossible to ask the question?
Sorry, what question?
Sorry, I was asking, would it be possible to ask the question to Robert for dates this year as well? And
Well,
find
let's
out
see what the
prices?
possibilities are then.
So maybe
Let's
this year,
make
this
it
summer and next summer.
a bit open and see what we could take, what could be on offer if we wanted to do a pop-up golf course this year and next year and on the Metropole lawn and see what their response is. Okay, everybody happy with that? Okay, so can you put that into council talk because I haven't got time.
So we're going to resolve to submit the full information to Royal District Council for pop-up graded golf activity on the Delaware lawns in summer 2024 and 2025. That's it really, isn't it? So let me do that. I'll submit all the information to them. I'll come back to you with what they can give you and I'll get the costs from the organiser.
Right, so we've got a proposer, we've got a seconder. Can I go to the vote now, please? Can you have a show of hands if you're in favour of that? That looks unanimous. Thank you very much. And I applaud that as well. I'm feeling really great about all this. So thank you. Item 17, keen to receive update on benefit concert. I see that the front page of the website's been adapted to mention Keen and the Sovereign Light Cafe and their contribution to Bexhill. Is there anything else that you could add to that?
Through your chair, yeah, we've made contact with their agents. So we've you're proposing to them, so we're just waiting for a response to see what they say.
Okay, thank you. Right, so moving on to item 18, external representatives. To receive reports from external representatives circulated prior to the meeting. Is there anything to report on RALC at the moment? Councillor Wilson and Councillor Jacklin.
Not at the moment. There is a next meeting planned, and they have a new secretary who also works for Robert, which is good for consistency.
Okay.
I can't remember the actual date, but it's in between now and the next meeting.
Okay, going on to item B, citizens' advice. I've been advised that Councillor Winter is no longer able to represent the Citizens' Advice Bureau, and on that basis, can anyone volunteer to replace him in this role as our representative with Citizens' Advice Bureau? Can I have any volunteers? Councillor Crotty, Councillor Bellin, any others? Right, so how do we do this if there's two volunteers?
Strike out.
Strike out. So can we have votes for Councillor Crotty to deal with Citizens' Advice? Can I have a show of hands, please? Is that the right way to do it? Okay, show of hands for Councillor Crotty. Okay, thank you. Show of hands for Councillor Byrne. Looks like Councillor Byrne's got the job. Well done. Thank you. Right, going on item C, Bexhill Air Cadet Squadron. Bexhill Air Cadets had made good use of our grant donation for our archery equipment when they recently held an archery weekend when almost 50 cadets were able to try out this new activity, and they're planning to repeat this on Friday the 5th of April when they've invited me to attend, and I don't know who should be most scared about that. But they're very active with this. They're going to have their AGM on the 25th of March at 7:30 on Monday the 25th of March, and anyone's welcome to go along to that. And they seem very active, and I'm feeling very positive. I'm very privileged that we've got a group like this in the town. So Bexhill Maritime, Councillor Tempe.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, things are moving along and we're almost at pre-app, which means that the project will go into planning for advice and various things. So it's moving along very quickly.
Okay, thank you. Littlegate Farm, anything to report, Councillor Jacklin?
Yeah, Littlegate will be opening a college in September run from the Pelham in Bexhill. So it will offer specialist education for 20 students. I think they will be looking for employers to help with placements. They have offered to come in and talk to us. They are going to talk to the Chamber of Commerce first. So up to you, if you would like them to come in, they would be willing to do so.
Okay, thank you for that. And thank you for the update. So moving on, support for Ukraine. Anything to report, Councillor Crotty?
Yes, Chair, thank you for that. They are still needing funding, but they had noticed that the funding for the Town Council is closed for this period until April. So I've asked them, I did mention them to contact the Town Clerk in April when the funding's reopened.
Okay, I think we did make a grant to them, and that was conditional on progress reports as to how that money was delegated. So did we have any response from that? Have we had any accounts or information? Right, okay. Well, maybe you could feed that back to the Support for Ukraine people and see if they could give us some sort of report as to how that money was spent in the last grant that we gave to them. So, right, item G, devolved services meeting with parishes and RDC members. Councillor Plim and myself have put volunteer to go to that, and I think Councillor Wilson wants to go as well. The meeting's been put forward until the end of this month, so we haven't got anything to report on that. And other voluntary action to receive update on request for representative. We've got any volunteers for RBA? If not, we'll defer it till the next meeting. Right, item 19, motions from councillors. Councillor Wilson, can I pass it over to you, please, and you can put your proposal forward.
Okay, so my proposal is, whilst I acknowledge that the Town Council has a 5-year plan, I think we need to be thinking a lot further forward than 5 years. And the 5-year plan is really about things we're going to be doing to support the town. I think we need to think about what we want the Town Council to look like beyond that time, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, where we want to be established, what we want it to look like, what we're going to be seen as by the town itself. When the hub was opened 2 years ago, it was right, there was a presence on the high street, but I think the Town Council has moved on from there, and very soon that won't be significant enough for us to be able to manage this as a business. And corporately we need to think about how residents would expect a town council to operate. If you look at most other town councils in the country, they have their own building, they have their own meeting rooms, everything is held in the same place, people come in there, it is a town council office. We don't have that. We've got the coat of arms, we've got the Bexhill flag, we've got all the regalia we have, and we're currently running it from a shop in Weston Road. The Town Council, the first 2 years was taken pretty much in working out the policies and putting things in place. It's brilliant to see all these projects now being created and coming to fruition. We now need to think, and we're going to have to put thinking caps on, into the very near future, maybe to think about what we want the Town Council to be in, say, 2040. Sounds a long way off, but actually it's not, it's only 15 years. And we've got to start thinking that way, but it's how, this is just my opinion, which is why I've put it down as a motion tonight, to start engaging with this council to see where we see this going. Because at the moment, if we're not careful, another 3 years of this administration, then you put another administration in, suddenly it's been up and running 10 years and we're still in the one hub in Weston Road. We've got to think bigger, and all right, we have to be aware bigger means money, but spread over a very long period of time the money would be not as much as people would think, but we'd have to do some groundwork to understand what that could look like. Where do we see the Town Council offices being long term? Is it in the centre? Is it on the outskirts? Is it where? I don't have all the answers. I'm just raising it for a debate to see where the council think we should go.
Okay, does anyone want to second this motion?
I just wanted to make a comment on it. I know we're tight for time, but
We are.
Do you envisage, if we carry this motion, do you envisage us having a vision exercise where we all meet up and brainstorm? How do you see it progressing?
Through the chair, I'm only one councillor. It needs the involvement of everybody, and we need to make sure that we make the right decisions, because I think we are being watched. It's not our money, but we have to position it correctly. So probably some sort of visioning. I would suggest it might be appropriate for all councillors to maybe invited somewhere for half a day maybe, or a 3-hour evening session to collate all the ideas, and then potentially doing a visioning exercise to our residents again. There was one done a couple of years ago which was probably okay at that time, but the world's moved on. We're a different type council now, I feel, and I feel there's there's an awful lot of good going on, so I'm quite keen to get on the back of that good and position it for the future rather than just next year and the year after. I have the eyes to see that, and I'm hopefully going to be able to take some others along with that journey.
Okay, can I have a seconder for this motion, please? Who's put their hand up first? Did you
Take
say?
your pick.
Councillor Hampton, second. Right, can I have a vote on this, please? Can I have a show of hands?
Sorry, Chair, we just need to be careful what the wording is in the motion that's going to be put forward.
I just want to check, because the motion you're agreeing to is to consider what we need to do to position Bexhill Town Council. But so you're making a resolution to consider it. So yeah, so maybe maybe it might help if you have some sort of answer to what that might be. So are you doing that by holding a visioning exercise?
I think that would be the start.
Otherwise, you're just making a motion that in the future you're going to consider it. Do you see what I mean? So maybe you need something specific in there that says this is what we're going to do to consider it. Maybe, yeah.
So the motion is for a vision exercise to take place.
That's up to you.
That's what I would propose, a visioning exercise to invite all councillors for, I don't know what suits people's personal lives, whether it's a 3-hour evening session or a half a day somewhere, so we can get all the ideas out on the table and then decide how we move it forward. It's not a knee-jerk, we've got time, but I just feel we ought to start thinking that way.
Okay, and you're seconding that, Councillor Hampton?
Yes.
Okay, so can I have a show of hands on that, please? That looks unanimous, and that's carried.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. So, item 20, correspondence and matters for information. All information circulated to councillors prior to meeting, so no, nothing to talk about there. Questions from councillors and future agenda items. There have been questions asked and the answers are on this agenda, so I don't think there's any point in debating this. So, unless anyone's got anything arising from this, I think we'll just take it as read. So, are there any questions from councillors for future meetings? Councillor Tempe?
Sorry, point of order. I'm not sure of the procedure, but I'd like to put forward that we consider looking at supporting the current event that's being advertised, the 70th explosion. How do I do that?
I think they have to apply for a council grant. Am I right?
Okay, so through you, Chair, this part of the agenda is for councillors to log any questions to the council. So what I think you're saying is you want...
That's why I asked.
Yeah, so I think what Councillor Timothy's saying is that she wants the council to consider supporting an event. So what would happen is that would then go on the next agenda for the council to consider how it supports the event.
Okay. All right, so that'll be put on the agenda for the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So, Councillor Carroll.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to ask why, in the history, the short history of the council, we should be documenting the mayor with a picture and starting a history of the mayor in the chair at the time. So it's something we should be discussing and the next agenda. So I'd like to.
So, yeah, what you'd like to what?
Well, I think we should be starting our own walls and
What
chairs.
saying?
Well, if we are going to be moving into a property, it's best to do it now than later.
Okay.
And I'd like to see that getting started in the next meeting.
So, okay, are you happy with that, Julie? So that can go on the next.
To clarify, so you're asking if the council can start documenting names of mayors on a board?
Yeah, and to document our own history. We're 3 years old and, well, we're 2 mayors down and we've got no document of that. And like Councillor Wilson said, 15 years is not far away.
Okay, so that's going to be discussed next time. Have we got any new risks to be added to the risk register? Just a routine question. No? All right. So the date of the next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday the 10th of April 2024. All motions for next meeting of full council to be submitted by the 10th of April 2024 must be received by 1st of April 2024. So, without any further ado, I think I will close this meeting now. Thank you very much. Meeting closed. To the public, yes. Thank you very much.